Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever time of day it is and whatever part of the world you're at right now. Welcome back, and today we're going to do another algebra lesson about the representation of quadratic equations. And there are four different ways to represent a quadratic equation. You can use a graph, you can write it in vertex form, standard form, or even in factored form. They've given us the graphed form of the quadratic equation. We have to fill in the other three columns: the vertex, the standard, and the factored form. So for the vertex form, if we simply identify our vertex here is -1, -9. In the vertex form, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And our a is 1. Okay, so if we write it in vertex form, this would be y equals x plus 1 squared minus 9. Okay, now the next simple thing to do would be to write it in factored form, but we need to know what our roots or our x-intercepts are. So one of our factors is right here where it crosses the x-axis, and the other one is right there. One of our x-intercepts is +2, 0, and our other x-intercept is -4, 0. If we write it in our factored form would be y equals, this would be x minus 2, and then x plus 4. Because remember, when we set each one of these equal to 0, we should, like for example, if we had x minus 2 equals 0, x would be equal to +2. And if we had x plus 4 equals 0, x would be equal to -4. Now, to get the standard form, we could simply just simplify either the vertex or the factored form, and we would come up with the standard form. So for example, if we expand the vertex form and then simplify it, we'll get our standard form. That would be y equals x plus 1 times x plus 1 minus 9. And then we would just use our distributive property and multiply the polynomials. Then we would get y equals x squared plus 2x minus 8. These three would be our final answers here: our vertex form, our standard form, and our factored form. So now let's take a look at number 2. So one more time. For the vertex form, we identify the vertex. Our vertex here is +7 and -1. So if we write it in vertex form, it's going to be x minus 7 squared minus 1. Now, if we do our factored form, we have to identify our x-intercepts, which are right here. So one of our x-intercepts is 6, 0. Okay, and our other x-intercept is +8, 0. And when we go backwards, we would write it as y equals x minus 6 times x minus 8. And now, if we wanted our standard form, we could just simply simplify either the vertex or the factored. So the first time, for number 1, we simplified the vertex form to figure out the standard form. This time, I'm going to simplify the factored form to figure out the standard form. So when we simplify this would be y equals, and when we put the -6x and the -8x together, that gives us -14x. And that would be our final answer, or final answers for number 2. All right, number 3. Once again, the vertex form, identify the vertex. So our vertex is there. Our vertex is +2, +2, -9. So when we write it in vertex form, we would write it as y equals x minus 2 and squared minus 9. And if we want our factored form, we have to identify our x-intercepts. Okay, our x-intercepts are -1, 0, and +5, 0. Okay, and if we write our factored form, one of them is going to be x plus 1 times x minus 5. And now to get our standard form, we could just simplify one of them. I'm going to use the factored form. X plus 1 times x minus 5. That's going to be y equals x squared minus 4x minus 5.